If you ignore these truths, you will wander as Jacob wandered before he learned them, restless, fearful, bargaining with life instead of commanding it.
Welcome to Napoleon Hill's Daily Millionaire Mindset, where we teach you the timeless principles that turn ambition into achievement. Subscribe today and start creating the life you deserve.
There are men whose lives conceal truths so powerful that history tries to bury them, lest the crowd discover their force. Jacob was such a man. Not the Jacob of Sunday school stories alone, but Jacob the struggler, the deceiver, the dreamer who wrestled through the night and refused to release his grip until heaven blessed him. Within his story are 7 wisdoms, 7 laws of power that the world has forgotten. Why are they forgotten? Because most men mock what they cannot understand. They prefer the easy version, the children's tale stripped of its teeth. They hear of Jacob's ladder and think only of visions. They hear of his wrestling and think only of myth. But hidden within these stories are 7 wisdoms that separate the man who drifts from the man who masters. These wisdoms do not belong to the weak. They demand struggle. They demand faith. They demand decision. That is why they are forgotten, because the multitude will not pay the price to remember. But for those who do, these 7 forgotten wisdoms become the foundation of wealth, destiny, and power. Imagine what it would mean for you to seize them, to wake each morning not drifting, but climbing your own ladder, rung by rung, toward your definite aim. To walk through life with the same persistence Jacob showed in his wrestling. That refusal to let go until victory is granted. To live with the clarity of one who knows he has a covenant with destiny itself. 7 wisdoms, 7 laws, 7 forgotten keys to fortune and faith. I will not name them yet, for if I gave them to you now, you would dismiss them as too simple, too old, too unbelievable. Instead, I will lead you step by step until your own mind cannot escape the truth. Jacob's wisdom is not a fable. It is a formula. And if you will grasp it, your life will not remain the same. So listen closely. For what you are about to hear has been hidden in plain sight for centuries. The 7 forgotten wisdoms of Jacob are waiting for the man bold enough to claim them. Wisdom 1, the law of identity. Jacob, the struggler. Jacob began not as master, but as struggler. He was born grasping, striving, deceiving, bargaining. His life shows that greatness does not begin in perfection, but in conflict. Identity is not fixed. It is forged. A man is not what he is called by birth, but what he chooses to call himself in purpose. The law of identity declares, you must become before you can receive. When Jacob fled from his brother's wrath, he was a fugitive. Fear drove him, not faith. He lay in the wilderness with a stone for a pillow, bargaining with heaven. If you bless me, then I will serve. This was the voice of weakness, of a man not yet master. Yet even in bargaining, the seed of greatness stirred, for he saw himself as one who could be blessed. So it is with you. You may begin as struggler, uncertain, fearful, bargaining with life. But your identity need not remain there. You may forge yourself into master if you accept the law of identity. Life responds not to what you have, but to who you are. Fortune bows not to excuses, but to certainty of character. You must wear the crown in mind before it appears on your head. Andrew Carnegie was a poor telegraph boy. His wages were small, his home humble. But he carried himself as though he were destined for millions. He studied the manners of the wealthy, dressed neatly though poor, remembered names of men of power, and practiced speech with confidence. He was not yet wealthy, but he bore the identity of wealth. Henry Ford, long before factories rose, spoke of production lines and automobiles as though they already existed. His neighbors laughed, bankers dismissed him, yet he described his vision in detail, speaking with certainty of how the machine would replace the horse. He wore the identity of industrial master before the world believed it. That identity commanded destiny. Thomas Edison, mocked as a dreamer, carried himself as though the lamp already burned. He refused to bow to ridicule. He acted with certainty, worked with discipline, and bore the confidence of mastery. Though 10,000 failures shadowed him, his identity remained fixed. He was the man who would bring light. And because he believed it, the world followed. Jacob, in his youth, wavered. He bargained at Bethel, promising to follow God only if God proved himself first. But later, after years of struggle and discipline, he returned a different man. He walked with confidence, spoke with authority, and bore the name of Israel. His transformation teaches that identity must evolve from weakness to mastery. Timid men wait until they possess before they act as owners. They say, "When I have wealth, I will walk with dignity. When I have power, I will speak with confidence. When I am secure, I will believe," but this is drift. Wealth does not create identity. Identity creates wealth. To wait is to perish. To believe first is to rise. The law of identity is this: act as the man you intend to be, and the world will one day confirm it. Walk with dignity now. Speak with confidence now. Carry yourself as master now. Refuse the posture of beggar. Life rewards the bold, not the hesitant. Identity is the seed. Fortune is the harvest. Even posture reveals identity. The timid shuffle. Avoid the eyes of men. Apologize for existing. The master walks with measured stride, lifts his head, speaks with clarity. No wealth in the pocket, yet wealth in the soul. No crown on the brow, yet crown in the spirit. Men sense it and respond. Opportunity bows to posture before it bows to possession. Consider again Jacob. When he fled, he was weak, bargaining, uncertain. But when he returned, he faced his brother with calm assurance. He had become master not by possession, but by transformation of identity. He was the same man in body, yet a different man in being. His identity had changed, and destiny bowed to it. The devil enslaves men by convincing them they are nothing more than strugglers. He whispers, "You are poor, so think poor. You are defeated, so feel defeated. You are small, so remain small." And men obey, binding themselves by identity. But the man who breaks that lie declares, "I am more than I appear. I am who I say I am. My being commands my becoming." Say aloud these words until your subconscious accepts them. I already am who I will be. My identity precedes my destiny. I walk as master before the world crowns me. I do not wait for fortune to bless me. I bless myself by belief. I carry myself as Israel, not as Jacob. My being commands my becoming. Speak until you feel the crown invisible upon your head. The transformation of Jacob from fugitive to prince shows that no man is bound to beginnings. You may start in fear, but you can end in mastery. You may begin as deceiver, but you can end as lawgiver. You may begin as struggler, but you can end as master. Identity is forged by choice, by faith, by persistence. Carnegie began poor, Ford began bankrupt, Edison began mocked, Rockefeller began frail, Lincoln began defeated. Each began as struggler, but each assumed identity greater than present fact. Each carried himself as though already crowned, and each drew fortune, power, and destiny into obedience. So I command you, stop identifying as struggler. Do not call yourself poor, weak, defeated. Speak of yourself as master. Walk as owner. Act as heir. Refuse to wear the garments of bondage. Identity is yours to choose. Choose mastery. Choose destiny. Choose to walk as Israel, though the world still calls you Jacob. Wisdom 2. The law of desire, Jacob's hunger. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. No fortune, no destiny, no transformation begins without it. Weak men call desire greed, ambition, or even madness, but history crowns only those whose hunger burns too fiercely to be silenced. Jacob's story shows us that destiny bows not to the timid, but to the man who dares to want with all his soul. Jacob hungered for the birthright. To others it was a title, a trinket, a tradition. To Jacob, it was destiny. He wanted the blessing that gave him inheritance, authority, and covenant. Men mocked his cunning, called him deceiver, but beneath his grasping was hunger, a hunger that would not release him until it was fed. Without this burning desire, Jacob would have remained nameless. So it is with every man who rises. Andrew Carnegie hungered for mastery of steel. Frail in beginning, working as a telegraph boy, he dreamed not of wages, but of empires. His hunger drove him to study, to labor, to seize opportunity. Weak men around him sought only bread. Carnegie sought dominion. His desire became law, and steel obeyed him. John D. Rockefeller hungered for oil. Rivals laughed, calling him obsessed with dirty liquid. They saw waste. He saw treasure. He dreamed of empires, railroads, nations fueled by oil. That hunger made him ruthless with detail, relentless in organization, fearless in expansion. His frail body mattered not. His burning desire devoured all obstacles. Henry Ford hungered for automobiles for the multitude. Men mocked him as delusional. Bankers rejected him. Neighbors laughed at his machines. But his desire burned hotter than their laughter. He spoke of cars as though they already filled the streets. That hunger carried him through bankruptcy, ridicule, and failure, until the world surrendered to his vision. Abraham Lincoln hungered for unity. Defeats, ridicule, grief, failure did not silence him. His hunger for preserving the Union became his obsession. Weak men would have retreated into private life, broken by sorrow. Lincoln persisted because his desire consumed him. That hunger carried him through civil war until history crowned him savior of a nation. Desire is more than a wish. Wishes are weak, fleeting, fainting under ridicule. Desire is fire, obsession, relentless hunger. It is the flame that consumes doubt, the heat that forges faith, the fuel that drives persistence. Without burning desire, no man endures the wilderness, no man withstands ridicule, no man claims destiny. Jacob's hunger drove him to labor 20 years under Laban. Cheated, exploited, mocked, he did not faint. He endured heat by day, frost by night, sleepless toil. His hunger for inheritance outlasted deception. While others would have fled, Jacob persisted. Hunger turned servitude into training. Desire transformed loss into preparation for dominion. The timid man is ashamed of desire. He whispers, "I wish I could succeed," then hides his longing behind excuses. He tells himself wealth is wrong, greatness unnecessary, ambition foolish. He fears the laughter of others, so he silences his own hunger. And life, hearing his faint wish, gives him scraps. The world feeds him crumbs because his soul demanded nothing more. The master is bold in desire. He declares, "I will succeed. I will possess. I will conquer." He hungers openly, even when mocked. He allows his longing to consume him until every thought, word, and deed aligns with it. He dares to appear insane because he knows desire precedes fact. Life, hearing his command, yields abundance. Say aloud until your spirit ignites, "My desire is not hope. My desire is law. My desire makes me appear foolish until I win. My desire drives me through deserts until blessing is mine. I burn with destiny. I cannot be silenced. My desire consumes doubt, overcomes ridicule, and commands reality. Repeat until desire lives in you as fire unquenchable." Jacob's hunger teaches that inheritance is not given to the passive. It is seized by the bold. Esau despised his birthright, selling it for stew. His hunger was for appetite of the moment, not inheritance of destiny. Jacob, hungering for future, claimed what his brother despised. This is eternal law. The man with greater hunger claims what the complacent waste. The devil seeks to kill desire. He whispers, "Be content with scraps." Do not reach too high. Do not hunger for greatness. Stay small. He tempts men to believe desire is wrong, ambition sinful, hunger shameful, and men who believe him drift in mediocrity. But those who resist declare, "My desire is sacred fire. My hunger is holy. I claim what I am destined to claim. History remembers only men of desire. Without desire, no faith endures, no persistence prevails, no imagination creates. Desire is the foundation. Without it, Jacob would have remained fugitive. With it, he became Israel. Without it, Carnegie would have remained clerk, Ford mechanic, Edison failure, Rockefeller invalid, Lincoln defeated lawyer. With it, each became immortal. So I command you, kindle desire until it burns beyond ridicule. Feed it with vision. Speak it aloud daily. Write it as your definite chief aim. Let it consume every idle thought. Do not apologize for it. Do not silence it for others' comfort. Live in it, walk in it, breathe it until it possesses you. Desire is your birthright. Claim it boldly. Wisdom 3. The law of faith, Jacob's ladder. Jacob fled into the wilderness as a fugitive, his heart heavy, his future uncertain. That night he dreamed of a ladder set upon the earth, reaching into heaven, with angels ascending and descending. This vision was not given for ornament, but for law. It revealed that between man and infinite intelligence stands a bridge, and that bridge is faith. Faith is the medium through which desire ascends and blessing descends. Jacob, though fearful, glimpsed this truth. A man is not confined to earth if he dares to believe. Faith lifts him above circumstance, connects him with infinite intelligence, and commands realities unseen. Without faith, desire burns out. With faith, desire climbs the ladder into destiny. Abraham Lincoln endured failure upon failure, grief upon grief, defeat after defeat. Yet he clung to faith in unity. He believed without proof that the Union could survive. Faith carried him through ridicule, through despair, through war itself. When all evidence mocked him, faith kept him standing. That ladder of faith lifted him until destiny crowned him immortal. Thomas Edison's faith carried him through 10,000 failures. Each broken filament mocked him. Each wasted hour whispered surrender. But he believed against all reason that the lamp would burn. Faith kept his hands steady, his mind firm, his heart unyielding. Without that faith, his desire would have died in ridicule. With faith, the ladder lifted him until light shone. Henry Ford believed in machines for the multitude when bankers sneered. He spoke of cars in every family when he had nothing but sketches. Neighbors mocked his obsession, yet faith kept him fixed. He acted as though it were already fact, and in time it became fact. His faith bent reality until the impossible bowed to the inevitable. John D. Rockefeller treated crude oil as treasure when others saw filth. His frail body, his humble beginnings, his critics all mocked him. Yet he believed without proof that oil would fuel nations. Faith made him ruthless in discipline, fearless in organization, unwavering in pursuit. His empire rose because faith climbed where evidence could not. Jacob's ladder is the image of this law. Angels ascending represent desire, imagination, affirmation sent upward. Angels descending represent opportunity, guidance, blessing sent downward. The ladder itself is faith. Without it, nothing ascends, nothing descends. The man without faith is cut off, bound to earth, prisoner of circumstance. The man of faith connects to infinite intelligence and commands it. The drifter demands proof before believing. He says, "Show me wealth, then I will believe I can be rich. Show me success, then I will believe I can succeed." He waits for evidence, and because he waits, he perishes. The master believes first. He declares, "I am wealthy, I am successful, I am destined." Evidence follows belief as shadow follows body. Autosuggestion is the tool of faith. By repeating belief aloud, daily, relentlessly, you engrave it upon the subconscious. The subconscious accepts repeated words as truth, and infinite intelligence responds to it as command. This is how faith is forged, not by chance, not by fleeting feeling, but by deliberate repetition until belief becomes identity. Jacob at Bethel wavered, bargaining with God. If you bless me, then I will serve. This was weak faith, conditional belief. But later Jacob walked in greater certainty. After wrestling through the night, he no longer bargained, he demanded blessing. His ladder had been climbed. His faith, once frail, became law. So too must your faith mature from hope into command. Say aloud until your soul obeys. I walk by faith. I climb through unseen. I believe until I see. My faith connects me to infinite intelligence. My faith is law. My faith bends reality to my will. I will not doubt. I will not waver. I already am who I believe I am. Speak until the ladder is real beneath your feet. The devil attacks through doubt. He whispers, "It will not work. You are wasting your time. You are a fool." Doubt is his chain, his poison, his snare. Men who listen descend the ladder, falling back into drift. But the man who silences doubt, who answers ridicule with faith, climbs higher with every step. Faith defeats the devil because it connects to power greater than him. Every master lived by faith before evidence. Carnegie believed in steel before furnaces roared. Edison believed in light before bulbs burned. Ford believed in machines before factories rose. Rockefeller believed in oil before empires drank it. Lincoln believed in unity before war proved it. Each climbed the ladder of faith while the crowd laughed below. Faith must not be passive. It must be active, commanding, decisive. Passive faith says, "I hope." Active faith says, "I will." Passive faith waits. Active faith acts. Jacob's ladder was filled with movement, angels ascending, descending. Faith moves, faith works, faith commands. Without movement, faith dies. With movement, faith crowns. So I command you, climb your ladder daily. Fill your mind with affirmations. Send your desire upward. Believe until belief becomes law. Act in faith, though proof is absent. Speak with faith, though mocked. Walk with faith, though alone. For the man who climbs by faith never remains earthbound. He lives in connection with infinite intelligence, and nothing is denied him. Wisdom 4, the law of discipline, Jacob under Laban. Jacob's hunger gave him vision. His faith connected him to infinite intelligence, but it was discipline that forged his wealth. For 20 years he labored under Laban, cheated in wages, deceived in agreements, exploited in service. Yet he did not faint. He governed his toil, regulated his habits, endured injustice, and multiplied flocks by disciplined methods. That is law. Discipline is the backbone of all mastery. Without it, desire burns out, faith scatters, imagination dissolves, persistence collapses. With it, every principle stands firm. Discipline is not chains, it is crown. The weak man despises discipline, calling it harsh, preferring comfort. The master embraces it, knowing liberty without law collapses into drift. Discipline is mastery of self. Andrew Carnegie studied efficiency with relentless discipline. He measured every motion, recorded every result, demanded order in his enterprises. His fortune was not accident, but structure. He mastered detail, cut waste, and enforced systems. His steel empire was not built on dreams, but on disciplined application of law. That discipline multiplied his wealth until nations bowed to his name. Thomas Edison lived in discipline. He cataloged every experiment, recorded every result, logged every failure. His laboratories were ordered with precision. He did not wander vaguely, hoping light would appear. He worked by disciplined method until success bowed. His genius was not whimsy, but law. Not inspiration alone, but discipline sustained through years of toil. John D. Rockefeller governed himself as he governed his empire. Frail in health, he disciplined his body, his diet, his habits. He disciplined his ledgers, his accounts, his contracts. Nothing escaped his order. Rivals mocked his rigidity, but that discipline preserved him through storms. While others wasted strength in indulgence, his order multiplied until oil obeyed him. Henry Ford focused with discipline. He refused distractions, fixed his attention on one aim, and drove every action toward it. His factories were monuments to discipline, organized, efficient, relentless. He cut waste, timed processes, perfected systems. Others scattered energy in many ventures. Ford chained his will to one vision, and discipline made him master. Abraham Lincoln disciplined his speech. He wasted no word, spoke only when necessary, honed every sentence with precision. His addresses endure because they were disciplined in thought. He governed his temper, restrained his pride, endured insult with patience. His discipline gave him strength to lead a nation through its darkest hour without breaking. Jacob multiplied flocks by discipline. He selected strong cattle, bred with method, separated weak from strong. He used rods and patterns to control breeding, applying law, not chance. His fortune was not luck, but order. While Laban cheated in wages, Jacob disciplined his labor. Discipline transformed servitude into wealth, injustice into inheritance. The drifting man hates discipline. He indulges appetite, wastes hours, speaks idly, acts without plan. He calls it liberty, but it is slavery. Appetite enslaves him, habit masters him, excuses chain him. He drifts because he refuses law. Life punishes him with poverty, failure, ridicule. He perishes not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of discipline. The master is free because he governs himself. He controls thought, speech, and action. He sets rules and obeys them. He denies excuses, resists indulgence, guards hours, disciplines body, directs energy. His habits serve him, not enslave him. His law is within. He is master because he first mastered himself. Say aloud until it engraves your soul, I discipline every thought, word, and deed into alignment with my destiny. I refuse excuses. I govern myself. I obey law. My discipline is my crown. My discipline is my shield. My discipline preserves my desire, sustains my faith, multiplies my wealth. I am master because I discipline myself first. Moses gave law to a people who knew only slavery. Without discipline, their freedom collapsed into chaos. They murmured, wandered, rebelled. Discipline was their bridge to promise. The same law applies to you. Without discipline, your liberty collapses into drift. Without law, your purpose perishes. Discipline is the rod that guides you into inheritance. The devil whispers against discipline. He says, indulge yourself, rest, delay, excuse yourself. He paints chains as liberty, indulgence as freedom, delay as harmless. But every indulgence becomes chain, every delay prison, every excuse a master. The man who listens becomes slave, though he thinks himself free. Discipline alone breaks his bondage. Discipline begins with thought. Guard the mind as fortress. Expel fear, doubt, envy, hatred. Admit only definiteness, faith, desire. The subconscious accepts what you allow, so discipline it. Sow only seeds you wish to reap. Refuse idle images. Banish weakness. Discipline of thought is foundation of mastery. Discipline of speech follows. Do not waste words on gossip, complaint, ridicule. Every idle word weakens tongue that should command destiny. Speak only affirmations, commands, visions. Discipline your speech until every sentence carries weight. The man who governs tongue governs men. Discipline of speech crowns you with authority. Discipline of action completes the law. Plan your day, guard your hours, accomplish your tasks, refuse drift. Do not wait for inspiration. Discipline compels action. Govern body with exercise, diet, rest. Govern time with structure, habit, law. Each act of discipline breaks chain, builds crown, multiplies destiny. Jacob's years under Laban were his furnace. Without discipline, he would have perished. But discipline preserved him until his inheritance was certain. So it is with you. Your furnace may be long, your service unjust, your toil unseen. Yet discipline converts servitude into training, injustice into preparation, toil into mastery. Discipline never wastes. The crowd despises discipline. They crave comfort, indulgence, drift. They laugh at the man who wakes early, studies daily, restrains appetite, orders life. Yet when results appear, they envy him. Discipline looks harsh today, but shines tomorrow. Indulgence looks sweet today, but rots tomorrow. Choose crown, not chain. Choose law, not drift. So I command you, write your rules, obey them. Govern thoughts, discipline speech, order actions. Deny excuses, embrace law, persist daily. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. Without it, you perish. With it, you rise. Discipline sustains desire, anchors faith, fuels persistence, perfects imagination. Discipline is mastery of self, and mastery of self is mastery of life. Wisdom 5. The law of persistence. Jacob wrestles through the night. There is no picture in Scripture more powerful for persistence than Jacob wrestling through the night. Alone, weary, fearing his brother's wrath, Jacob did not collapse into despair. He seized hold of the angel and refused to release him until blessing was granted. This is the law of persistence, the refusal to let go though the night is long, though body trembles, though hope fades. Most men quit before dawn. They faint at midnight, weary from struggle, and release their grip when victory is but an hour away. They endure for a season, but not through the night. Yet fortune crowns only those who cling without release, who wrestle though wounded, who refuse to surrender until morning breaks. Persistence alone proves worthiness. R.U. Darby quit 3 feet from gold. He and his uncle labored, struck promise, then lost vein. They sold their equipment, surrendered their vision, and walked away. Another man, the junk dealer, persisted, studied the ground, struck the true vein, and reaped millions. Darby's story reveals the eternal law. Most men surrender just before blessing appears. Thomas Edison endured 10,000 failures. Each day mocked him, each experiment ended in disappointment, each rival sneered, but he persisted. He said, "I have not failed 10,000 times. I have found 10,000 ways that will not work." His persistence converted failure into progress. Light appeared not by genius alone, but by grip that would not release. Henry Ford persisted after bankruptcy. His early ventures collapsed, bankers mocked him, friends doubted him, but he rose again, built again, labored again. His persistence carried him through ridicule until his vision became empire. Had he quit after his first ruin, his name would be forgotten. Persistence transformed defeat into triumph. Abraham Lincoln persisted through defeat after defeat. Business failed, love lost, elections denied, ridicule endured. Any weaker man would have surrendered. But Lincoln's grip held fast. His persistence carried him into presidency, through war, into immortality. His life proves that failure never defeats the man who refuses to let go. Jacob's wrestling reveals the secret. Persistence often wounds before it blesses. Jacob limped after his struggle. Persistence scars the body but crowns the soul. Do not fear wounds. They are proof of your grip. The timid release when wounded, but the master clings tighter. Every scar is seal of persistence, every limp sign of victory. The devil whispers at midnight, "Let go, quit, sleep, surrender." He tempts with weariness, fear, ridicule. He paints release as relief, surrender as peace. But the man who obeys him loses blessing. Only he who endures until dawn, refusing release, receives crown. Persistence defeats the devil because it outlasts him. Say aloud until your will hardens, "I will not let go until I am blessed. I persist when others quit. My grip conquers the night. My persistence commands victory. Delay is not denial. My scars are seals of triumph. I march through deserts. I endure the wilderness. I cling until destiny bows. Repeat until quitting becomes impossible. Persistence is more than stubbornness. Stubbornness repeats folly. Persistence adapts, learns, adjusts, but never quits. Jacob wrestled with skill, not blind resistance. Edison altered filaments. Ford refined engines. Lincoln shifted strategies. Each adapted, yet none released. Stubbornness wastes. Persistence builds. Learn, adjust, but never surrender grip. Delay is furnace of persistence. Fortune withholds to test hunger. If blessing came swiftly, weak men would squander it. Delay refines desire, purifies faith, strengthens discipline. Only when persistence proves worthiness does destiny yield. Delay is not punishment, it is preparation. Night does not mean denial, it means dawn is near. Every fortune is testimony of persistence. Carnegie labored decades before empire crowned him. Edison endured years of ridicule before invention shone. Ford suffered bankruptcies before empire rolled. Rockefeller bore scorn before oil yielded. Lincoln endured failure before presidency came. Each persisted through nights that would have destroyed the multitude. The drifter quits when mocked, faints when weary, surrenders when wounded. He wastes his years wandering, always near blessing, yet never seizing it. His grip is weak, his heart faint, his will fragile. Life punishes him with mediocrity. He perishes not because fortune denied him, but because persistence abandoned him. The master clings though weary, holds though wounded, persists though mocked. He endures ridicule, pain, delay. He grips destiny until destiny yields. He limps, but he wins. He suffers, but he crowns. His persistence proves worthiness, and fortune bows. The world remembers his name because he refused to quit when the multitude fainted. So I command you, wrestle through your night. Refuse to release your grip, though mocked, wounded, delayed. Persist through ridicule, persist through pain, persist through weariness. Cling until blessing comes, for dawn always comes to the man who persists. Blessing always bows to the man who will not let go. Wisdom 6, the law of transformation. Jacob becomes Israel. Every man who would master life must undergo transformation. He must die to the old self and rise into a new name. Jacob wrestled through the night, and at dawn he received more than blessing. He received a new identity. His name was changed from Jacob, the struggler and deceiver, to Israel, the prince who prevails with God and with men. This is the law of transformation. Identity is not fixed at birth. The boy may be called weak, poor, ordinary, but destiny waits to rename him when persistence proves him. Jacob began as grasping fugitive, bargaining, fearful, wavering, but through desire, faith, discipline, and persistence, he was forged. At dawn, his old identity fell away, and his new nature was sealed. Transformation is the final crown. Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin, ridiculed as uneducated, defeated in politics, dismissed as fool. Yet through faith, persistence, and vision, he transformed. He was no longer poor lawyer, but immortal statesman. The old name was forgotten. The new name endures. Transformation turned obscurity into immortality. Henry Ford was farm boy, mocked for machines, bankrupt and broken. Yet his persistence transformed him into industrial titan. The poor mechanic died. The master of assembly lines was born. His new identity crowned him with empire. Transformation alone explains such rise. Old self gone, new self enthroned. John D. Rockefeller was frail clerk, weak in body, timid in youth. Yet his discipline, vision, and faith transformed him into emperor of oil. The fragile boy died. The master strategist arose. His transformation crowned him with power that reshaped nations. Without transformation, he would have perished unknown. Thomas Edison was called dreamer, fool, half-deaf failure. Yet transformation remade him into genius of light. He died as mocked boy and rose as master inventor. His old identity could not inherit destiny. So it was buried in fire of persistence. Transformation crowned him, and history bowed. Jacob's new name, Israel, was not gift but reward. He earned it through struggle, through faith, through persistence. He proved worthy of transformation. So too must you. Your old identity, drifter, doubter, timid, cannot inherit destiny. It must die. You must embrace new name, new identity, new nature forged in fire of discipline and persistence. The drifter clings to old identity. He says, "This is who I am. I cannot change." He excuses weakness, justifies failure, defends mediocrity. He perishes in the chains of self-image. The master declares, "I am more than I was. I am not bound to birth, to failure, to ridicule. I transform. I become. I ascend." Transformation frees him from past into promise. Transformation requires surrender of excuses. Jacob's limp was reminder that he could no longer walk as before. He was marked by struggle, forever changed. So too must you bear marks of transformation. Old habits must die. Old excuses be buried. Old fears abandoned. Transformation is not cosmetic. It is rebirth. Say aloud until it engraves in you, "I am transformed. I am not what I was. I am who I am destined to be. I walk as Israel, master of purpose, prince with destiny. My old name is gone. My new name commands. I am not bound to past. I am crowned for future. I am transformed by law, by faith, by persistence." The devil binds men by past. He whispers, "You failed before, you will fail again. You were mocked before, you will be mocked again. You were weak, you remain weak." But the law of transformation destroys his chain. When you embrace new identity, his whispers lose power. You are no longer Jacob. You are Israel. The past cannot bind the transformed. Every man who rose embraced transformation. Carnegie died as clerk and rose as titan. Edison died as fool and rose as genius. Ford died as bankrupt and rose as master. Rockefeller died as frail boy and rose as emperor. Lincoln died as defeated lawyer and rose as savior of nation. Transformation crowned them all. So I command you, bury your old identity. Refuse to call yourself poor, weak, defeated. Embrace new name of mastery. Declare yourself prince with destiny. Live as Israel, though the world still calls you Jacob. Transformation begins with decision, matures with discipline, seals with persistence, crowns with faith. Transformation is law. Wisdom 7, the law of covenant, Jacob's legacy. Jacob's life does not end with his wrestling, nor even with his transformation into Israel. His greatest wisdom is found at the end of his days when he blessed his sons and passed on covenant. This is the law of covenant. True mastery is not measured by momentary fortune, but by legacy that endures beyond life. A man who rises only for himself dies small. A man who builds covenant commands generations. Covenant is more than inheritance of land or wealth. It is transmission of vision, discipline, and destiny. Jacob gathered his sons, spoke over each, and left them not merely possessions, but purpose. He sealed their identity with words that outlived him. His covenant became a nation. His legacy multiplied until his name endured for millennia. So it is with every master. Andrew Carnegie built steel, but his covenant was not steel. It was libraries, institutions, knowledge passed to millions. He endowed learning so the poor could rise as he did. His wealth was temporary. His covenant with future minds was eternal. That covenant speaks long after his empire of furnaces has cooled. John D. Rockefeller amassed oil wealth, but his covenant was not barrels. It was foundations, universities, institutions of science and medicine. His name persists not only in ledgers, but in hospitals, schools, discoveries that continue to bless. His covenant outlived his frailty, outlasted his rivals, and endures as testimony of vision larger than self. Henry Ford's machines filled roads, but his covenant was not only cars, it was transformation of industry. He left discipline of assembly, principle of efficiency, vision of mobility for masses. Every factory on earth still follows his covenant. His covenant with discipline reshaped labor for generations far beyond his personal fortune. Thomas Edison gave inventions. But his covenant was not lamps or phonographs. It was laboratory of innovation. He left the principle that imagination plus persistence plus discipline creates new worlds. He institutionalized invention, taught men to treat ideas as factories. His covenant with progress reshaped civilization. Abraham Lincoln's covenant was greater than office. He preserved a nation, sealed unity with his life, and left legacy of freedom. His words endure, his vision commands, his sacrifice binds generations. He died, but his covenant outlives him. He transformed not only his time, but all time after. His covenant is law written on history. Covenant is greater than wealth. Wealth feeds body for a season. Covenant feeds spirit for eternity. Wealth perishes. Covenant endures. Covenant is agreement between man and destiny, sealed with vision, carried to future generations. Covenant is man's true immortality. Without it, even the richest die forgotten. With it, even the poor may live forever. Jacob's covenant crowned his sons. He spoke over Judah, declaring kingship. That covenant echoed into David, into Solomon, into generations. His words outlived his body. His vision outlived his age. He died, but his covenant lived. This is wisdom. True mastery is not what you take, but what you leave, not what you spend, but what you sow. The drifter dies small. He spends all, consumes all, wastes all. He leaves no covenant, no vision, no inheritance of spirit. His children drift. His name fades. His memory perishes. His life ends in dust. He lived for self, and he dies alone. The world forgets him because he built nothing beyond appetite. The master lives larger. He rises not only for self, but for covenant. He builds legacy, writes vision, transmits discipline. His wealth outlives him, his words endure, his influence multiplies. His children walk in his path, his name commands respect, his covenant reshapes generations. He becomes immortal not by body, but by law of covenant. Say aloud until it engraves your destiny. I covenant with destiny. I live for more than myself. My wealth outlives me. My vision endures. My discipline becomes inheritance. My covenant commands generations. I am not bound to this hour. I build eternity. I am immortal through covenant. My life is seed. My legacy is harvest. My name endures. The devil tempts men to live small. He whispers, live only for today. Spend all, waste all, seek pleasure. He blinds them to covenant. So their wealth perishes, their children drift, their names vanish. He robs them of immortality by enslaving them to appetite. But the man who sees covenant defeats the devil, for his life cannot be destroyed when his legacy multiplies. Covenant requires vision larger than self. Jacob saw nation in his sons. Carnegie saw knowledge in future generations. Rockefeller saw science serving mankind. Ford saw efficiency shaping industry. Edison saw invention multiplying endlessly. Lincoln saw unity binding a nation. Each lived beyond self. Each entered covenant with destiny. Covenant requires discipline to preserve wealth for future. Jacob labored decades so his sons could inherit. Carnegie restrained indulgence to endow libraries. Rockefeller denied luxury to fund institutions. Ford disciplined industry to pass on systems. Edison institutionalized invention. Each restrained appetite, directed vision, preserved fortune, and left covenant. Covenant requires persistence. It is not sealed in comfort, but in struggle. Jacob endured Laban, wrestled angel, limped into legacy. Lincoln endured ridicule, war, assassination. Carnegie bore strikes, criticism, opposition. Rockefeller bore hatred, lawsuits, rivalry. Edison bore failure, ridicule, exhaustion. Ford bore bankruptcy, mockery. Each persisted until covenant crowned. Covenant transforms death into seed. Jacob died, but his sons carried his blessing. Lincoln died, but his nation carried his vision. Edison died, but his inventions multiplied. Carnegie died, but his libraries remained. Rockefeller died, but his institutions endured. Ford died, but his systems spread. Death did not end them, it crowned them. So I command you, live not only for today, build covenant, write vision, preserve wealth, discipline appetite, transmit purpose, leave legacy. Covenant makes you immortal. Without it, you perish in dust. With it, you command generations. Covenant is the crown of all wisdoms, the final law of Jacob, the seal of destiny. You have now heard the 7 forgotten wisdoms of Jacob. They are not children's tales, not ornaments for the timid, not riddles for idle minds. They are laws of destiny. Identity, desire, faith, discipline, persistence, transformation, and covenant. These are not 7 stories, but 7 pillars. They hold the weight of fortune. They shape the architecture of destiny. Do not treat them lightly. Men hear truth and then drift back into excuses. They nod at wisdom, but they live as slaves. They whisper, "Yes, I see," but then return to wandering deserts. Such men mock destiny, for truth demands action. If you hear these wisdoms and remain unchanged, you will be as Jacob before Bethel, bargaining, wavering, fearful, drifting. The law of identity calls you. No longer live as beggar, no longer shuffle as slave. Walk now as master. Speak now as prince. Act now as heir. Fortune does not wait for crown, it bows to identity. Command yourself, I already am who I will be. For if you live as Jacob, you die small. If you live as Israel, you rise great. The law of desire calls you, hunger boldly. Do not silence fire because the timid call it madness. Do not bury passion because the crowd prefers mediocrity. Burn until your hunger offends them. Burn until your fire consumes ridicule. Desire is holy flame. Say aloud, my desire is law. My desire cannot faint. For hunger is the engine of destiny. The law of faith calls you, climb the ladder, believe before seeing, declare before proof. Faith is the bridge between imagination and fact. Without it, you perish in deserts of doubt. With it, you command infinite intelligence. Say aloud, I walk by faith. I believe until I see. For faith bends reality, connects earth to heaven, and crowns the daring. The law of discipline calls you, master yourself. Guard thoughts, rule words, order actions. Refuse indulgence, deny excuses, obey law. The crowd calls discipline harsh, but discipline is crown. Without it, you perish in drift. With it, you command destiny. Say aloud, I discipline every thought, word, deed. For discipline is the invisible rod that sustains all greatness. The law of persistence calls you, wrestle through the night. Do not release your grip, though mocked, wounded, delayed. Persist though weary, persist though limping, persist though alone. The blessing bows to no one but the man who refuses to let go. Say aloud, I will not let go until I am blessed, for persistence proves worthiness and commands victory. The law of transformation calls you, bury your old name. Jacob must die for Israel to live. Your old self, timid, drifting, fearful, cannot inherit destiny. Release it. Embrace new identity, new name, new nature. Say aloud, I am transformed. I am not what I was. I am who I am destined to be. For transformation crowns persistence with immortality. The law of covenant calls you, live beyond yourself, build legacy, write vision, sow seeds that outlive you, covenant with destiny to bless generations. Do not consume all, preserve, discipline, transmit. Say aloud, I covenant with destiny. My wealth outlives me. My vision endures. For covenant is true immortality, the crown of all wisdoms. Hear me clearly. These 7 are not suggestions. They are laws. Obey them and rise. Break them and perish. The multitude will ignore them and remain slaves. But you, if you dare obey, will walk as Israel, prince of purpose, master of destiny. This is your summons. This is your line in the sand. Do not delay. Delay is drift. Do not wait. Waiting is surrender. Act now. Write your definite chief aim. Speak it aloud daily. Govern thoughts, discipline speech, order actions. Persist in wilderness, transform identity, build covenant. Act as though destiny is already yours, for it is, but only if you seize it. Say aloud until it engraves upon your soul, I do not ask, I command. I do not hope, I claim. I already am what I will be. I walk in possession. I rise, I conquer. I persist until blessed. I discipline until crowned. I transform until immortal. My covenant endures. My destiny is certain. My name commands generations. This is the summons of Jacob's wisdom. This is the crown of Israel. You have heard it. Now obey it. For if you drift, you die forgotten. But if you rise, you live forever. The choice is before you. Take it now.
If this inspired you, subscribe and follow for more. And don't miss the other videos we've lined up for you. Keep learning, keep growing. Your next breakthrough could be one click away.